Hello and welcome to Cast Iron Cooking. I'm your host, Velken Vanderspuds, and I hope you enjoy today's meal. It's going to be a cheesy scrambled eggs with chicken. So first thing you're going to do is start your oven and set the temperature at about 380 degrees Fahrenheit. 380 degrees is below frying, but above cooking, and this is where the chicken and the onions and peppers and mushrooms are going to cook. So after setting your oven, then the next thing you're going to want to do is pick a single black iron pan. It only takes one, and I'm using a old antique black iron pan, but one that's been around for a long time and cooks good meals. So you want to take your pan and put it in the oven itself and let it warm up to temperature while you get the rest of your ingredients ready. Those ingredients are onion, a bell pepper, cheese, eggs, ghee, can of mushrooms, black pepper, and chicken breasts, and salt with milk. And that's pretty much all of the ingredients. So you want to take, we're using the Mexican 4 type of cheese. It's available pretty readily in the grocery store. And we're going to be starting with the chicken. We're using a yellow onion, available everywhere, can of mushrooms, the ghee, which is in this case got Himalayan pink salt in it, also regular black pepper, coarse ground, Sam's Club item, and Himalayan salt, also from Sam's Club. This one's in a grinder, so it's pretty easy to use. You can use any kind of egg you like. In this case, it's Eggland's Best large eggs. And we're using just regular vitamin D milk. You can use heavy whipping cream, and you'll need 1 sharp knife and a cutting board. And in this case, we're using a knife sharpener to make sure that we're ready to cut. This is a regular plastic cutting board and pretty much all you'll need for this cooking. So, to start off with, once our pan gets hot, we're also going to be needing a couple of utensils. This is for grabbing the chicken with. This is for a flipper used for stirring and for manipulating the eggs. We also have a single butter knife and a fork with 1 mixing container, and it can be just about anything that you can mix eggs in. And also, for safety, we're using our oven mittens for removing the pan and putting it back in the oven. So, once your oven's heated up and your pan inside the oven's heated up, next it's time to start preparing the chicken. So, start with our oven mitt for safety. We call it our Mickey Mouse mitts because it looks like Mickey Mouse's hand. And just take out your pan, put it on the stove top, and at this point we want to put some oil in the pan to cook the chicken in, and we're going to be using only ghee in this entire recipe. Ghee is available online and some specialty stores. It's basically, for those who don't know, it's butter that's had the protein removed out of it. So it's good for cooking because it's got a much higher smoke point, which allows you to cook at a higher temperature than normal. So we take the ghee and we put a liberal amount into the now hot pan and make sure that ghee is melted and ready for the chicken. The chicken in this case is pre-prepared chicken breasts, boneless, skinless chicken breasts. And essentially what you're going to do is put it into the hot oil, and you're just going to sear the outside of the chicken to try to seal in the moisture and the chicken juices that are in the chicken. This is done by turning on the stovetop so that it keeps warm, and slowly turning the chicken to every side that you can. You can brown it, but we're not really browning it. We're just simply searing the outside of it. So you need to turn the temperature up high enough that it's frying lightly, and move the chicken around to make sure that it's not stuck onto the pan and that it's accessing the hot oil or hot ghee that's in the pan already. This will take you a few minutes, and just be careful of splashing and make sure that you turn it over, and the outside of the chicken meat will turn kind of white or slightly brown if the temperature is hot and it's, more cooking than just searing. But again, the idea here is just to sear the meat. Once the chicken is seared on both sides, you're going to be on all sides. So the one piece here is very thick, so I'm literally going to actually turn it up on its end, turn it up on its side, anywhere that the chicken hasn't actually received any heat. I'm going to put it into the boiling oil, and you can see the oil is pretty hot in this video. And once it has got a little bit of a seal and both pieces are even, I'll move them around to make sure they're coated with the ghee, and they're, the ghee is well mixed in the pan. Next, we'll take the pan and put it back into the oven with the chicken and let it cook. Again, it's at 380 degrees. So you put it in, and while it's cooking, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut up and prepare all the rest of the ingredients. And I start with a sharp knife. It's nice to have a knife sharpener at home, and I highly recommend it. I'll put a link in the description below. So if you're interested, you can definitely buy it. These are not affiliate links, so I'm not collecting any money off of them. It's just for your information. So we sharpen and clean off the knife, and then we'll take our mulch pot, and this is literally where we collect the vegetables instead of throwing them in the trash, because we actually put it out into a mulch pile. So we'll first prepare the onion by removing the outside skin, cutting both ends off, and then we will cut it into bite-sized pieces, basically. How you do it, it's completely up to you. It's whatever you feel comfortable doing, what size you feel like. Some people like complete rings. Whatever it is that you care for the most in your cooking. It's the nice thing about this recipe is that it really comes down to personal taste. You decide what's most comfortable for you. Next, we'll cut up the pepper. And mind you, this is a red pepper, but it can be any bell pepper. The green ones, the yellow ones, This one's orange, the red ones. And to cut up the bell pepper, I usually cut it in four ways, down both sides and then 90 degrees again. And this allows you to basically take it apart without having to do a lot of cutting. Once you've got the cut from one side to the other, you can just break off the 4 pieces, and the last piece will have the seed pod inside of it, and that's easy to take out by hand. Afterwards, you can trim off whatever parts of the pepper you don't like and get rid of the seeds, and the seeds can be put in with the rest of the mulching material. I don't mulch any meat or fat, but anything else that grows naturally will decompose and helps the mulch pile quite a bit. Also, our mulch pile isn't used for growing garden vegetation, so things like plates with ink on it and paper towels and that type of thing, I don't mind putting in there. They'll break down and make soil just the same. So you clean the seeds off the peppers, and then once that's done, you prepare to cut up your onions and green peppers. And again, it's to whatever size that you feel comfortable with and whatever size you enjoy eating it with. For cutting the onion, I generally take and cut it in half and then lay the large size down on the cutting board. It makes it easy to cut up into chunks. The green pepper, or the bell pepper, I'll slice down the length and cut it, all the individual lengths, to bite-sized pieces. I generally prefer larger bite-sized pieces, but some people like smaller ones. Once everything's cut up, I'll set it aside in a plate and get it ready. These ingredients can be cooked either independent of the eggs or with the eggs. It's kind of your preference. In this recipe, I'm cooking it with the chicken in the oven, and this allows the peppers and onions to actually cook down. If you prefer more of a raw vegetable flavor, then you can add it to your eggs instead of adding it to the actual meat in the oven. In this case, we're using canned mushrooms, mostly for convenience, but I'll add those on top of the onions and peppers in preparation of putting them in with the chicken later for cooking. So next, we're going to prepare our eggs and our scrambled eggs mixture. I typically start with pepper and salt. So again, using rough ground black pepper, and salt is to your taste. I'm using Himalayan pink salt, but there are other types of salt that people prefer, and the amount is to your choice. So there's no set amount. A pinch will do, I guess. Next, we'll take the 4-cheese Mexican cheese mix, and again, you'll notice that I'm not actually going to add it by some measuring cup. This is by sight, so I know about how much cheese I like, and covering the bottom of the container that you're going to be scrambling the eggs in is a good start. Some people like the cheese, some people don't. For cheesy eggs, you gotta have cheese. If you just want them scrambled, well, you can leave out the cheese. Here I'm adding whole vitamin D milk. You can again use heavy whipping cream if you prefer. And finally, just a dab of pure vanilla extract. And it's really just a flavoring, so it doesn't take much. Just a couple of drops will do. finally, the final ingredient in our scrambled eggs is, of course, eggs. So in this case, I'm going to be using 5 eggs, and it's basically for a single meal. Some people don't eat that many eggs, but in this case, it's being prepared for a single meal for the day. So 5 eggs is not unusual. If you're cooking for multiple people, you can just multiply out the ingredients for additional people. That includes every part of this: the chicken, the onions, the peppers, the mushrooms. If you have multiple people eating, you can just increase the volume of ingredients by the number of people. In this case, we're going to also put the eggs and the paper towel into the mulch container to mulch outside after we're done. So we prepare a paper towel and start to crack the eggs. I found that with these mixing bowls I'm using, it's actually got a sharp edge on it, so it makes it pretty easy to crack the eggs if you get it at the right angle. If you don't hit it right, it's not going to crack the egg right, so it takes a little practice. Everybody has their own method of breaking eggs, and these eggs have kind of a light shell to them, so it doesn't take much effort to actually break the eggs open. Again, for this recipe, I'm adding 5 eggs, and it's simply break them and drop them. Being careful, of course, to make sure you don't get any egg shells into your scrambled egg mix. So those eggs now go off the cutting board for the mulch pile, and I'm going to clean up the counter just a little bit, and the edge of the mixing bowl itself will have a little extra egg residue on it, so I like to take that, clean it up as well. This paper towel could go in the mulch. You're not supposed to recycle paper with food ingredients on it, so I don't. Next, I start by poking each of the egg yolks with the fork to break them open. Makes it easier to mix the eggs themselves. And in this recipe, what you'll find when you're scrambling the eggs is that if you scramble it enough, what you'll find is you'll pull up the cheese and the milk from the bottom of the bowl. So you want to keep moving the bowl around and scrambling them to make sure that all of the milk and the cheese is mixed with the egg themselves. And once you've done it a couple of times, you'll see that that's fairly easy to do. Meanwhile, the chicken is still in the oven, so this scrambling up these eggs and making sure they're ready will make it possible so later on we'll be ready to cook the eggs with the chicken. Now it's time to check on the actual chicken, and we'll put on our Mickey Mouse glove, pull the chicken pan out of the oven, and take a look and see how it's doing. It'll brown because of the black iron pan or the cast iron pan. It'll brown on the bottom first. So if you do nothing else, you just need to turn them over and make sure they brown evenly on both sides. This is kind of unusual because we have one very thick piece of chicken and kind of a thin piece of chicken. And in this case, the thin piece of chicken is already pretty well cooked. So we're going to take the chicken, and at this point, we'll take it out of the pan and put it on a chopping board and prepare to cut it. We're going to cut it into bite-sized pieces that are later combined with the eggs after the chicken's cooked. And this is kind of important. We're cooking the chicken separate to make sure that it is cooked thoroughly. We don't want undercooked chicken for obvious reasons. And what I found here, because the small piece of chicken was so small, it was cooked through. Because we seared it on the outside, it's still very moist on the inside. It's not tough or overcooked. And the larger piece of chicken, the outsides of it were cooked pretty well, but the very inside of the chicken breast was not thoroughly cooked. So cutting it up and cooking it like this is a really good idea, because it will make sure that the chicken is cooked completely. And you can see when I'm slicing it open there, inside the very middle of the chicken, it's still a little bit raw. So definitely a good way to cook chicken, especially when you have multiple sizes you're cooking at the same time. Once you're satisfied with the size of the chicken, we're going to be putting it back into the black iron pan or the cast iron pan or cast iron skillet, and putting it back into the oven to finish cooking the chicken to make sure it's thoroughly cooked. Once the chicken's back in the pan, I'll smooth everything out, even it out. And then, again, the oven is still hot, so it's going back in at 380 degrees, where the temperature was set originally. And we're going to continue cooking the chicken from there. And at this point, you can kind of relax until the chicken is done. There's not much else to do. You keep checking the chicken, and eventually what you'll see is that it has cooked thoroughly. There'll be some browning on some of the spots. You stir around, make sure everything's evenly cooked. And also at this point, kind of take a mental note if there's still oil in the bottom of the pan. There should be from the ghee that we put in. And from that point, you take the vegetables that we cut up, the onion, pepper, and mushrooms, and you're going to add it on top of the chicken. The chicken, we're not really worried about mixing up the vegetables with the chicken at this point. The chicken is hot, so we want the vegetables to get exposed to the heat in the oven. In this case, it's a convection oven, so there's moving air inside. Cast iron is really good at holding heat, but it's not really good at transferring heat. So in this case, because we want the vegetables to cook, we're going to leave them on top, kind of exposed to the moving air in the oven. Next, after the vegetables have been in the oven for a little while, with the chicken, what you'll want to do is come back and take the pan and mix the vegetables and chicken evenly so that they'll start cooking thoroughly. You want to cook it in the oven until the onions become sort of translucent, and the green peppers and mushrooms will start cooking down. They won't actually get brown, but they will release a lot of moisture into the pan and keep the chicken moist and basically get heated up really well. So you want to keep checking on the chicken and vegetable combination until you found that the onions are translucent. And until then, you put it back into the oven occasionally, pull it out, stir it, look at it until it's ready for the eggs. And eventually you're going to get where when you pull the skillet out of the oven, you will notice that the onions are cooked and translucent, and the meat is cooked, and the green peppers are cooking down, and the mushrooms are cooking down. And at that point, we will pull the skillet out of the oven and turn the oven off, setting it on the stovetop. Now, you can see steam coming up out of the pan because there's moisture in there. We'll turn the oven off, the oven itself off, and we will turn the stovetop on very low. And at this point, we're going to add our eggs. Essentially, you scramble it back up, make sure everything's mixed up and the cheese is not separated to the bottom, and you pour it right in the center, making sure that you get everything out of your mixing bowl, all the cheese. The cheese will want to hang out there. And then you are done with that. And you can put it away to get washed. And at this point, you'll notice I'm not mixing anything up. I'm just pouring it in the pan, and from there, it's just going to cook. It's on low heat. The pan, the skillet, the cast iron skillet is hot, so it will continue cooking the bottom. And you just need to put enough heat in it to keep it from cooling off. Over time, eventually, you'll start smelling the eggs, and at that point, you just come and turn it over. We're not scrambling the eggs in the pan. We're just gently turning it over so that it heats evenly. And with the vegetables, with the peppers and the mushrooms, they're going to continue releasing liquid, water. So it will seem like the eggs are kind of juicy, but the eggs will cook. And what you want to do is basically scrape up off the bottom as you're turning the mixture over. And you'll notice that there will be some browning on the bottom of the pan and on the sides of the pan. Just scrape that up while you're flipping the ingredients and continue cooking. You might find that you're going to turn the egg mix 2 or 3 times. Usually by the 4th time, it's completely cooked. You could tell the eggs have firmed up, and you're not cooking the meat, you're not cooking the vegetables at this point. You're just cooking the eggs. So on slow heat, those eggs are going to develop firm and they will start browning. Now, this is going to come out to be a very moist egg mix, but have no doubt the eggs themselves will get done. And as you continue cooking them and scraping the bottom and the sides of the pan, they will firm up, but they won't become dry. So essentially what you do is once you recognize that the ingredients, the eggs in particular, are not getting any firmer, they'll stay fluffy and light, then you will have cooked as much as you need to cook. The other alternative, and this is a 1-pan, 1-skillet mix, so in order to use a single skillet, you have to cook this way. But if you have a second skillet, you can cook the eggs and cheese combination separate, and when you pull out the chicken and vegetable combination from the oven, you can leave it on the side so that your scrambled eggs are separate when you serve it. In this case, we're doing it in a single pan, so it will be more moist. If you keep them separate, if you use 2 pans, then it won't be as steamy and moist. And some people prefer that. And then comes the finish. At this point, the eggs are cooked. We take our plate, and I like to put pepper and sometimes salt in the bottom of the bowl because then it doesn't require a lot of mixing to get the extra pepper. And I enjoy pepper. Completely up to choice, individual choice, whatever you like. And then directly from the pan, we add the egg combo to our bowl. And in this case, there's no cutting of anything. Everything's already been cut to size, so you can eat it with a fork or a spoon. You will find that there is some moisture in the bottom of your bowl as you're eating, but don't be afraid. It's just water. The vegetables will continue releasing water as you're eating, but they will be soft and still crunchy and very delicious. In this case, I'm going to add a little bit of salt on top, and after that I will pour myself a glass of milk. And from that point, we are definitely ready to eat. Milk has been poured. Clean up a little bit, put things away, and prepare to eat our meal. So I want to thank you very much if you made it all the way through this video. I hope you get to try this yourself and that you enjoy this recipe. It's easy, it's pretty quick when you're doing it yourself. And again, my name is Belkin Vanderspuds, and this is Cast Iron Cooking. Thanks for visiting, and we'll see you again soon, I hope. Bye-bye.